Hi, everybody. We are
Hey,
back with
hey everyone.
yet another episode of Cloud Chat. So, how's everybody doing?
Doing good. Happy Thursday, Amantika and Yash. How are you doing, Yash? Are you traveling? Are you back on the on back in the air? What's happening?
I'm doing pretty great. Yeah, I'll be traveling from Sunday for the China, KubeCon China. But till now, I'm just enjoying my packing stuff. I usually enjoy that part.
That's
I
awesome.
hate
That's awesome.
packing. I hate packing and I hate unpacking. How about you, Amit? Do you like that part of the traveling?
The packing and the unpacking.
Yes.
Uh, it depends. If it's a work trip and I'm traveling alone, then packing is like a breeze. If
Yeah.
it's with family, that adds like another dimension to it. But I think we've got a pretty good, like, given that we took a year off last year and we traveled as a family quite a bit
Amazing.
with our then 2 year old. So traveling with a 2 year old like really teaches you to be really efficient with your time and resources. So I feel like we've gotten pretty good at that. Like I was counting when we were done, I think we took like 35 odd flights last year. Um,
Wow.
and it was like 40 odd cities or something like that we hit. So it was crazy, but it teaches you, like, packing and packing is like relatively easier. It's still a pain when you're traveling and you have so much going on. But work travel is much easier. Like I just did
Yeah.
um, a a 24-hour trip to San Francisco for the MCP Developers Summit. And
Amazing.
I just rolled in with my backpack. Like everything I needed for 24 hours was in my
Yeah.
backpack. No check-ins required. That's the pro way of doing it. Like if you can pull that off for a day with just a backpack, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. I think this can be the icebreaker question for our audience as well. For those of you who have joined us, let us know, how do you like to pack? Like, are you a light traveler or somebody who likes to pack two suitcases for a 2-day trip? Like, I am the later one, so I am interested to know how most of you travel. Cool. Uh, with that, let's get started with cloud chats for this week. Yash and I, we were chatting and we were thinking that, oh, there's probably not a lot of updates. But then yesterday, when I opened Twitter at night in Indian time, and I see that, oh, there is update from Figma, there's update from OpenAI, and Amit, like we were chatting, there's update from Cursor as well. So this is what happens. One week when you think that there is no update from anybody, in a few hours, there's suddenly an update from all the big players. So I think this is how it's going to be. And we have chatted about this in almost all our cloud chats episodes about how not a week goes by where there's nothing, not a new model or some new announcement.
Yep, that's right. So let's kick it off. I have not
Yeah,
been like I've been off like radar a little bit this week with all the announcements that have come out. So I'm super curious what came out of OpenAI's table. Like what's new there?
oh, I think we can start with that. So then let's do a roundtable. I can probably go with the OpenAI's one. I know Yash also has some announcements to share, and Amit, I know even you have one. So I can go first. So from OpenAI, as we already know that they improved their um, contextual, or let's say memory utilization. But now what happens is that with, like, there are memory improvements. So it, let's say, even in ChatGPT free, if you are chatting with ChatGPT, asking it questions to solve your code bugs or even helping you write, it can refer to the most recent conversations, which, like, previously it could only get context from saved conversations or somewhere where you're referencing to it. But now, let's say you're chatting and there are older conversations that's there, and this is also available in the free tiers, so it can tell you what to, like, tell you about you or what you're referencing and give you more accurate results. With this, I'll show you a very uh, fun output that I got. Okay, I'll share my screen. So I opened ChatGPT yesterday to try and see how this new memory update looks like. And so the first thing they tell you is that, okay, based, I'll just zoom in a bit. That based on your conversations, do you want to tell ChatGPT a brief about you? And this is what it told that. So, like, I asked it to describe me based on all our chats and make it catchy. So this is what it did, and I'm really like this is really nice because never did I mention to ChatGPT that I'm a devil or most of this that I've done here. Not all the chats are there in ChatGPT, but some of them are there. But I really like the output that it has. So maybe you both can also try and see what description ChatGPT gives of you based on your previous conversations. But it's a fun experiment for everybody here, and let's if you see something funny, you just share it on social media. Let us know what you think. But that's the main update that I saw from OpenAI. And over to you, Yash and Amit, on updates from your end.
Sorry, I'm curious. Like, I remember that they announced something like a month ago also, which was along similar lines. What's the big difference between that and this announcement? Because the idea was similar a month ago, where I remember there was a whole like memes
Yeah,
going around of people asking questions and like based on what you know, draw me a Lego character. Like I'd seen some of those going around.
yeah.
What's the difference this time now?
But as far as I know that you needed to add some conversations as context and it could only refer to those. But now it can refer to all your past conversations on its own and then give you a brief or give you or general responses based on that. But previously you'd had to add context yourself or save some conversations and reference to it. Like that's what I know about it.
Hmm, interesting. Um, oh, I think I know what the difference is. So it looks like the one they announced a month ago was only for Plus
Oh,
subscribers. So now it's basically available for free members. I think that's the big
okay.
announcement.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so it's super cool. The fact that it knows, I mean, cool and scary,
Yeah.
that it knows a lot about you, can help shape up the conversations you have with it, regardless of the context in that specific chat. Um, so yeah, I think it's super cool. I wonder if I wonder if Claude has something like that. I don't think Claude has that just yet. But again, I find that I'm using ChatGPT more for like a Google sort of replacement for everyday things, and Claude is really the where the rubber meets the road when it comes to writing code. Um, like I'm heavily more and more I'm getting more into Claude Code. Um, and now that it supports, I don't know if you guys actually saw this announcement last week or 2 weeks ago, where you can now integrate Claude Code inside Cursor. Now
Oh,
I know
wow.
like my
I didn't see
first
this.
thought, yeah, my first thought was, well, what does that even mean? Like Claude Code runs inside the terminal, so you have integrated terminal in VS Code and Cursor. So like this was always going to work. But the major thing is that one, it's GA, but second, it is Cursor or VS Code aware. So what that means is that if you have a certain file open in Cursor or VS Code, and you are running Claude inside that terminal in VS Code, it knows what file is selected. If you select certain lines of code, it knows what lines have been selected. So when you ask a question, it just knows what lines you're talking about, what file you're referencing. So it's really it's deeply connected. The binding is like with Cursor now instead of them working in silo. So more and more, I find that instead of doing the chat in Cursor, I'm finding more value in just doing Claude Code. Now, again, Claude Code is still API driven, so there's a cost to that. I was building an iPhone app um, over the weekend using Claude Code, and at the end of this 20 odd minute interaction I had, it cost me $5 for that 20-minute thing. But I mean, given there was a lot of back and forth that I was doing with it. But Cursor, if you have the Pro plan, it includes those subscriptions. But anyway, all to say that that's the way I delineate. ChatGPT is my everyday Google replacement of sorts. I haven't dabbled too much into Gemini. Been hearing very good things about it, but it just hasn't. I haven't had a chance to like dive into it.
I've heard like about Gemini have good coding skills
Yeah,
for the Gemini 2.5. This is something I've also heard like hearing, but I haven't get a chance to give it a try as well.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's built into Cursor, right? That's got to be one of the models in Cursor, isn't it?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, yes, sir. Gemini 2.5 Flash and Pro, both are there. So I guess I could like try it in Cursor also. Um,
You have got a comment.
Yeah, this is a good question. I honestly don't know how they compare. I have tried Claude Code's agent mode, and what the way I did that is that I had a repo on GitHub, and I connected that GitHub repo to my Claude Code. There's a um, I forget the command, but oh yeah, you have to install the GitHub app or the Claude Code app in GitHub, and then you can go into Claude Code and you can create issues from there. But the agent thing that I did with it is that I went to GitHub, I had some issues open for that repo, and I basically opened a new issue and mentioned the word Claude in it. So I said, at Claude, can you take a look at this and tell me what's the fix? Something like that. And immediately, like within few seconds, Claude got to work and it wrote up a detailed comment on that issue for me, saying that, oh, this is a problem. Here's how we fix it. All of that stuff. Now, I was doing it for the first time, so I wasn't very convinced that this is correct. So at that point, I got back into Cursor and I asked Cursor to explain this issue that Claude is suggesting, and it was like it's pretty spot on. It was a very easy fix. I could have done this myself, but I wanted to try it out. But the entire process was very seamless. So from an agent mode, this behaves similar to a Devin AI or the VS Code agent mode, or the GitHub Copilot, I think, um, where you basically just open an issue or mention Claude in your comment and it can get to work. And then all you're doing is basically just looking through it, making sure that it's aligned with the way you wanted it, and approve it. So Claude Code actually worked very well for me. I'm more inclined to play around with that a little bit more. But VS Code Agent, I've really not tried. I'm curious, like Sartaj, have you tried that? There's just so many of these now. Like Google has Joule now. Claude obviously has this. GitHub has Copilot. Um, Yeah, it's and Devin AI, obviously, the OG of sorts.
I think the agent mode is within GitHub Copilot, like the VS Code agent mode. I haven't tried it, but Yash, did you try? I know Yash is the uh, Vim kind of person who doesn't like using AI while coding, but yeah, Yash, have you tried by any chance?
Not yet. It's not like I don't use it. It's just like I sometimes I like doing something by myself, writing something by myself. It gives me okay. I have done something instead of doing it for me. I love it when
Yeah.
it like do like non-thinking things for me. But sometimes when I need to put my thinking, then I like to code myself. But yeah, no, not yet. I haven't got a chance to try it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, I think it's now on Yash. Yash, is there any announcement in particular that excited you this week?
Well, there was one for the DeepSeek. What stand out for the DeepSeek for me was like, first of all, the DeepSeek is the open source one, and what they did is like they have a new model came up for the R1 in which they have much more better performance the previous model. And why it is interesting is because the base model is the same. They just improved their reinforcement learning, and because of that, they are able to get much more performance on the same model. So that's why it is more interesting. It's not like they have trained it on more data. It's not like that. It's just they refined their learning technique for that particular model, and it enhances much more. So there was a graph, if I can share with you guys. um, okay, let me try to share with you all. Percent. So if you guys are able to see my screen, you can see this when I took a screenshot, in which this is the same model, and on the basis of index right now, based on comparing, it also, you know, crosses the Gemini 2.5 Pro on the same base model, just because they are able to refine their learning techniques. And this makes me wonder, like in the future they will work on it, and how, like if they get more infrastructure work on it, it will be, it will get much more performance, much more, you know, much more intelligence. Do you guys have any thoughts on this one? Here's one more graph, I guess.
Can you go back to that graph again, Ash?
Let me share again.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read through some of this. Um, it's amazing how the difference is not a whole lot between these models. Like it's really like bumper to bumper when it comes to performance increments. And like this makes me think of like at what point will we all stop being so worried or interested in each of the model improvements. Like I think there will be a baseline of things that you will use on your everyday basis, and after a while it'll really become about like, okay, what are these models specifically being used for, like niche specific things. um, but we are obviously in a wild west sort of world right now.
Yeah, like,
And
but I, yeah, go ahead, Ananta.
no, I was thinking that it says that it's better than Gemini 2.5 Pro, but it's like the numbers are similar. It's 68. So, this is the thing that I think we also talked about in our previous Cloud Chats episode, that every time a new model comes up, people claim all these. I don't know how, I know a lot of, most of the research papers they mention about these indexes, but what I see is maybe this is, um, like something that happens, but then I see that every new model that is announced, it says that it's better than all the other models that ever existed. But here I'm particularly interested because Gemini 2.5 Pro and DeepSeek are one like the newest model. It has same scores, and how is it better than Gemini then?
I think the what make it interesting is not like it is better than them. It's like it is able to come up with the same level of the performance, same level of the results, as after being open source. So this is what makes it more interesting than other models. Like, uh, that's what I think. That's why like people are like, okay, open source have more power and able to come up with the, you know, uh, same results and more intelligence than the models and AI getting trained on these big companies. That's why. So it's more about like, okay, open source can have these kinds of performance as well.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm big on open source always, so like it's really nice to
Yeah.
see these improvements. Cool. Next, what do we talk about? Should we see a demo from you, Yash? Are you ready for a demo? Since we are at the topic of models, and maybe I feel it would be nice to see your LLM demo.
Sure, I can go ahead with that. But before that, I was thinking if we can go with Gemini and Chrome. But the thing is, I cannot access
Yeah,
this because it is only available in the US. So maybe if you, Amit, if you want to give a try, let me share a link with you guys. If you get a
Yeah.
chance to try it yet or not. It's like they have implemented Gemini in the Chrome, and they are saying, okay, it is kind of an assistant.
Okay, interesting.
Okay.
Are you
I
showing it
should
on Slack or?
I shared it in the chat, like in our main chat as well. Like for anybody who is joining us from US and would like to try.
All right. And it's hard to copy this from. Hang on a second.
I've shared in the chat. If you
That's so weird. Like
copy.
if I take my mouse over it, it wants me to show that as a banner. But I got it. Gemini dot. What is it? Gemini.google overview Gemini in Chrome. Okay.
Are you
It's
typing
there in the
manually?
private chat as well.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
I'm just gonna search for it. Gemini in Chrome. Got it. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen. Make sure I'm on the right screen. Is it this?
Yes.
Yes.
So what is it? AI assistance right in your browser. Intelligence that works with you right where you are. Okay, so there's a button. Oh, okay, I got it. Okay. So it's quick questions without going to Google or Gemini website. Okay, let's try this. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Is there an extension?
It should be there. They mentioned like there is a button on the Chrome.
Oh, do I need to update this? What's going on? I'm trying to see if I need to update this.
In the Chrome toolbar, there is a Gemini icon. This is what they have mentioned in their documentation. They are still rolling it out, so I'm not sure if you have access for it.
It's doing something. Okay. Share this tab. What you need is currently available for Mac. Okay. Most recent version of Chrome. Okay. So, I'll have to kill Chrome and then do it again, which will kick me off. And I don't even know if it's available to everyone. On your computer, open Chrome and then help about Chrome. Okay.
If it works well, Amit, I think we'll come back to the question where you mentioned that you are using ChatGPT now instead of Google. So if it really works well, will you go back to Google instead of ChatGPT?
Okay, I'm gonna kill it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. I think he will be joining. Okay, so I can go ahead with my demo then, and then we'll see. So let me. Okay. GitHub.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna join.
I'm back. Let's try this again. I still don't see anything, but maybe it's just me not knowing where to look for it.
Maybe it not rolled out for everyone in US as well. They are still rolling out. So
Right.
that might be
So
the
my
case.
Chrome is up to date, whatever the latest version is, and now I should see what is it going to show up here?
It's going to show up in the toolbar. So it
I
should
don't see
be
it.
on your right hand top. If
Yeah,
if it's not there, yeah, then it's not available for you right now.
yeah. Uh,
But it makes me wonder, like how they will be, like they added Gemini in the search results, and just because of it, sometimes I don't go to the websites, and they fetch that data from websites, right? So how they are managing to make sure that those websites, like it's like I have wrote the content, work hard for 10 hours, and then you are taking data from my blog and then showing it in the search bar, and because of that users are not going to my blog maybe.
yeah.
It makes me wonder, like how they will be making sure that the users are not going getting, I was pretty like mad at some point if they are going to show my data in the search bar but and not mentioning my link. But
Uh, yeah, I mean, this is obviously like a very hot topic of debate that's gonna go on for a long time. There's SEO, there's like I don't even know what they're calling it, like Gen AI optimization, whatever they're calling it. But this will obviously have an impact on one, the number of visits you're getting to your websites, but also how do you even measure the success of whatever content you've written, or
mhm,
docs even, like if you look at just developer experience sort of things, how do you, the measurement, the success metrics that we've had for a while, when it comes to developer relations, for example, or even generally marketing, is that you have these metrics of like the views and the page views and the page impressions and time spent on the page and all of that stuff. But now with the LLMs, one, you don't know when people are using your API or your docs. Well, you still know when they're using your API, assuming you have the API key, but you don't know if there was interest in a certain doc page or a blog post, because to your point, the LLM basically summarized the whole thing, and you never
yeah.
hit the API's docs. So I often wonder if that's going to have a flipped out response also, that if more views on your docs, is that really a good thing now, or is
Mhm,
that actually a bad thing? Because most developers are starting off in the LLMs, and they should be able to get their answers. Like if you look at it from a developer experience point of view, if they're starting off with the LLM, that's where their starting point, then they should be able to resolve all their issues in the LLM itself, because that's the environment, that's a new IDE environment that they are in. If they have to go to your docs, that takes them out of the flow,
mhm,
right? So if they are going to your doc to figure something out, maybe that's actually a bad thing. So this whole metrics is going to change. This whole, the way we've been thinking of this, like my content, you can obviously have like no follow sort of robots that stops LLMs from indexing your page, but then you also lose
mhm,
out on even if the LLM decides that, I'm going to include the source, like Yash's blog post as a source there, you lose out on that also, obviously.
mhm,
Um, but this is all so nascent that I think we will see dynamic changes to this. The way we think of this is going to radically change. But funny enough, all of this still leads to content.
mhm.
LLMs being trained on content,
Yeah.
right? So new, fresh content has to be created, and I see this even more for new cutting edge technologies. Like if you look at MCP, for example, there's not a whole lot that AI knows about it, because humans don't know about it right now. Not a whole lot has been written to the extent that other stuff has been written. So as humans create new content with help from AI, you will start seeing AI also knowing a lot more about it. But at right now, this new technology means a lot of hallucinations, um, which to Yash, or that also means that Yash's content will still be relevant, because Yash will write about things that are not, that's still hard earned knowledge.
Mhm.
Anyway, all to say, it's unprecedented waters, my friend.
We'll see how things will go. It's pretty interesting. Things are going.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, we'll see. Okay, so next thing I can do is I can show my demo. I
yes.
have doing pretty nerdy stuff over the past weeks, and hopefully I'll make enjoyable for everyone. So
Let's do it.
mhm. This one, okay. My screen is visible, right? Because I'm
Yes,
not able to see you guys.
yes, like we can
Un-
see your GitHub repository.
awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's start with this simple architecture to explain what I'm being building and why I'm doing that. So I've been trying to deploy LLMs on Kubernetes, and after deploying it is also important that okay you are able to scale them, right? It's like okay on my Kubernetes cluster and the server which is like the LLM server which is running right now, and users started liking it, and when the traffic comes my uh, like LLM is able to scalable. We can use some native things in the Kubernetes like HPA. It's like horizontal pod scaling stuff which have some restrictions. Like you can say okay, if the CPU usage increases, increase the number of pods in my Kubernetes. Those who don't know what pod is, so pod is basically a very atomic level unit of Kubernetes, and it's like a container, and above the container it's a wrapper from the Kubernetes, so that Kubernetes able to talk with your pod. That's all what pod mean. So if there is a CPU increase with HPA usage to Kubernetes, which is native to Kubernetes, it will increase the number of pods. But there are different factors, right? Sometimes I don't want on the basis of CPU. Obviously, it will be set up, but uh, I want more on event-driven stuff. Maybe I'm using Kafka. So if the Kafka queue have more messages, because I'm using Kafka so that I don't lose during that scale period. I don't lose messages from of our user. I'm using Kafka, so message get queued, right? So that is where it gets little tricky, how you are able to manage it. Uh, Maybe on the HTTP request. So I'm saying, okay, if the number of concurrent request is more than 100, I want you to scale my pods, which cannot be done easily with native Kubernetes. So in this architecture, what I've did is I have deployed few things, which is kind of, if I try to explain in simple, more a driver things which we install in our computers so that we are able to run few softwares. So NVIDIA GPU operator and is a similar kind of a driver which helps Kubernetes to access GPU droplets in our DigitalOcean, so that it is able to create GPU nodes and in which it can install our LLM, right? So after I installed LLMs on Kubernetes, for which I've created a video as well. Maybe we can share on the comments as well. So what I wanted is I want to scale my LLM uh, so that other when users come, my pods are able to increase and they are able to serve for other users. So if I can show you, I have. So I need to reshare, I guess, so that you can see it. Share my screen. Let me show you the entire one. Okay, so right now this model which you are saying is right now running in my Kubernetes cluster. So I'll say what is GPU. So it should give pretty quick answer. Since I am using NVIDIA H100 of our DigitalOcean, the response is pretty fast, and the model is also Llama 3.1. So this is right now running in my Kubernetes cluster. So if I show you, see I'm using cursor. So in my Kubernetes, if I say kubectl get pods and nim, so I have a single pod running, right? So it can handle some users, few hundred users. What happens when hundreds of users come? It will crash, and my uh, this will not answer anything. It will start crashing. This is something that I don't want. So what I did is I simply set up uh, Prometheus. So on localhost 800, I should be able to see the metrics on 1990. So maybe I just need to run this one. Okay. Prometheus, and I'll do some nerdy stuff again. And in Prometheus, what I'm doing is like I'm just showing you the graph of concurrent request. Maybe if you guys also do a same request at that point, it will be like 3 concurrent requests are coming for my cluster. So in this graph, you can see there is a spike of particular threshold, which is 0.04, just because I made some requests. What I did is now, what I want my Kubernetes to do is, if the threshold of 0.5 increases more than 0.5, I want you to scale my Kubernetes cluster. That's the whole thing what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to tell Kubernetes is that if there is a lot of spike, if there is a like spike is higher, then you do some intelligent stuff and increase it. And I don't want to handle it, okay, at what particular threshold you increase number of pods. This is something what CADA do for me. So CADA is a CNCF sandbox, I think CNCF's graduate project, which helps do this all stuff. We don't need to do that. We just need to do a simple configuration file. So this is a simple configuration file in which I'm saying to Kubernetes, okay, what you need to do is I want minimum replica of 1. If there is no spike, I want you to scale maximum of 10. I don't want like you create 100 of pod and I woke up next morning and I see the bill that the like cloud is giving me in the $1,000. So I also want you to make sure that the maximum replica is 10. And this is a simple polling period. It's like CADA is like keep listening to your metrics to see in 5 seconds to see if there is any update. And trigger is like when you want CADA to trigger. So I want CADA to trigger when Prometheus have certain kind of things. Sometimes I'm saying to CADA, okay, listen to this metrics, and this is the threshold till not do anything. Once this threshold get crossed, you start scaling my pod. And this is the query I want you to do. So this is the promql. I'll not explain this one, but it's simple. Like I'm just fetching the metrics and doing some sum for the threshold. So let's see, let's try out. So what I did, I wrote a simple Go script in which it will make concurrent request and we'll see some spike over here. So if I see, there is 0 spike, right? And my Kubernetes pod have single pod. So now what I'll do is I'll run the script and we'll see what happened. Okay, so in this script, what I'm doing is, if I zoom out, zoom in a little bit, what I'm saying is on this particular URL, run 200 requests for, I'll say 60 seconds. 200 concurrent requests for 60 seconds. That's a pretty heavy load for my cluster right now. So let's do it and let's see what happens. Once I run the script, it will start doing it and we'll see what happens over here in few seconds. I'm on right now watch, so it should start doing some. It should start creating some more pods for me because the requests are too much. Let's wait. Let's see if there is a spike. Okay, there is a spike. Threshold of 0.35. We are getting more spike. Okay, we crossed 0.5. Okay, we can see my Kubernetes started creating more pods for me, like my name to my name, and they are in the pending state, container creating state. And now Kubernetes will create required pods for me. It will create more pods for me until it is able to serve all the request. And based on that, and if I go in the Prometheus, I will see more spike, see, of 1.9 threshold. And once all the requests get completed and the spike gets to zero again because there is no more request, CADA will, which is installed in my Kubernetes cluster, will delete all the pods again to save the cost of my Kubernetes cluster because there is no need for them, and only required pods will be running. I hope it was enjoyable because it's pretty much more a nerdy stuff.
This
That's
was very.
just,
Amit, you're saying something. Sorry to cut
go
you
ahead.
off.
No, go ahead, Amantika.
No, I was just saying that I'm really impressed. Like when it comes to Kubernetes and all of these stuffs, I have zero knowledge, but it was really nice to see all of it, especially your explanation. Like you mentioned, oh, this is what I'm doing now, this is what Keda is doing, and Prometheus is doing. So it was a great demo, I feel. So now I'm interested. Next time when I start learning about Kubernetes, Yash, I'm going to you. It was a great demo.
Definitely I'm going to help, but it's really interesting stuff, right? So that's why I was doing this nerdy stuff for the past few weeks. See, my uh, like spike is to zero again, and after 20 seconds, which I defined over here, either the cooldown period is 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, it will start deleting all this stuff again, which it created.
This is super cool. So just to be clear, so cooldown period is after the onslaught has
Yeah,
been handled
yeah,
by those
yeah.
10.
So
So if the
on
traffic
each
starts
20
to go
second,
down, right?
yep.
Got it.
Go
So
ahead, go ahead.
I'm curious, like this I think you said that you're using Keda, right? For auto spinning of this. Is that an open source tool?
Yes, CADA is a CNCF project. It's an open source tool, and it's a graduate project as well. So anyone can use it. And it's not only supported to Prometheus. You can use Kafka. You can use many scalars. You can use cron job. Maybe in your case, in your business, you might think, okay, in night I get more traffic, or in certain time I get more traffic. So you can
Yeah,
define, okay, at this certain period, just increase the number of pods.
got it.
So you
And
can
what
do
would
that
it
as well.
take? So at this point, if you wanted to deploy this project on DigitalOcean, for example, so I'm guessing like you may not need the Prometheus part of it, right? Because you will just go to DigitalOcean's built-in analytics and see that over there, or is there a use case that you would still want to do this DevOps sort of thing where you're tracking it locally?
The uh, the details that we get from the DigitalOcean is helpful for the overview.
Yeah.
But when you want to do more on setting up detailed observability,
Mm,
you like our users can use DigitalOcean Marketplace to install Prometheus in their cluster. So at this case, we will need it because we cannot access data from there in my cluster, inside my cluster, to do this kind of stuff. And because CADA cannot talk directly with there, CADA can only communicate with, uh, you know, uh, with my Prometheus because they are both in the same environment.
okay, so you go to the marketplace and you install Prometheus on your cluster.
So yeah.
How do you access Prometheus from there? Does it give you a URL?
Yep. So once you install Prometheus, you get the URL, which I did. Like I exposed at localhost 1990, like over here. And once you do that, you can go to the localhost 1990. And if you are using DigitalOcean uh, Kubernetes cluster, you will get maybe IP as well if you want. So after that, you will be able to access it
Got it. Got it.
easily.
Okay, cool. This is super cool. Um, does Kera work only for Kubernetes, or it's also for, say, an app platform sort of thing?
It works for Kubernetes. It is mainly for Kubernetes.
Got
Yeah,
it.
but it has many support as a trigger. So maybe if there is anything I'm missing in the documentation, there should be. But for now, what I think is they only support for Kubernetes.
This is super cool. Are you planning a blog post or a video on this?
I have already published a video on this. I think today it is already published out there. So I'll share as well how I did that and all the stuff I already mentioned over there. so they can
Awesome.
follow up. And, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, so
Super
let me
cool.
stop sharing my screen. Awesome.
All right. Okay. What else did you have on your list, Hamadika?
Yeah, I think there are a few announcements from DigitalOcean as well that we wanted to cover. And Yash and I, we have a list of them. Maybe I can go first. The first one is that we have a new data center in Atlanta. So for anybody who is in and around, so this is great news for you, and not just for in and around, but for anybody who has been DigitalOcean user. This means that more good stuffs are in store, and it's coming. One thing in particular about this Atlanta data center is that it's built to deliver high density GPU infrastructure that is optimized for AI ML workloads. So this is one key thing about the new data center, but that's one big announcement that we had this week. And I know that even Yash has some announcement to share. So Yash, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I was talking about deploying LLM on Kubernetes. It's very um like it's a questionable thing. Okay, is will my Kubernetes will be able to handle that such kind of load? Right? We question it. Is the infrastructure is enough to handle such kind of load? So DigitalOcean have increased the pod limit, sorry, node creation limit from 500 to 1,000. So now you can create 1,000 nodes in a single cluster. You don't previously what our users needs to do is like create multiple clusters of 500 nodes for a big scale level production environment. Now they can do that same stuff in the single uh, Kubernetes cluster, and they can increase it to the thousand nodes, which is pretty awesome and cool stuff when you try to understand how internally it is going to manage it. So, but yeah, it's pretty interesting announcement as well from the Kubernetes team.
Amit, is there anything in particular that you want to share about DigitalOcean or
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah, let's actually talk about the cursor update because I was playing around with it this morning. They just announced 1.0 yesterday, and let me see if I can do a sharing of my screen. Mm, okay, 1 second. Where are we? Okay, here we go. And share my screen, and let's do this. Okay, so Cursor announced quite a few things. Let me see if I can go back and share this one. Okay, so this is the update from Cursor as of yesterday. So they've announced an automatic code review with BugBot, which I've not had a chance to play around with. But here comes another one where apparently you can use Cursor in an autonomous sort of agentic sort of way. So here you are, you're mentioning it, the bug, and it's fixing it, and it's pushing PRs right from there. There's another background agent that apparently they've announced. Again, I've not had a chance to look at this, but what's super interesting to me personally is these two things. One is that Cursor can now remember things. So, I mean, it sort of had a Cursor rule for a while, but now as you're chatting, it is smart enough to know that I should add this to the memory. And I think this is how, from what I recall, this is how ChatGPT started their memory stuff, like last year or something, where it was randomly picking up things that it thought was important, and then it graduated to a part where you said, "Hey, remember this," and then it was remembering it, and then it got to a part where uh, your memory was very limited, right? So it started complaining that, oh, you're 90% at capacity. And now here we are at ChatGPT where it's remembering pretty much everything that like we were chatting earlier. So I feel like maybe Cursor is heading in that direction. This is the first V1 of this whole memory angle where it's smart enough to know what to remember. And of course, you can also say things to remember. So it can remember your coding style. It can remember things like, uh, I want you to do a specific thing or specific way my code should be structured, etc., sort of things. So this is interesting. And then you have MCP one-click install and OAuth support. I want to learn a little bit more about like what they mean by this, but one-click install is, I think, super cool. So I was playing around with this. What this means is that you can have, let's go here. So I am on the deep links page that Cursor provides. And the whole idea is that installing MCP servers in Cursor, you have to open up the JSON file and you need to know the exact configuration. Um, it's a manual thing you have to do. But now Cursor supports deep links. Basically, that's the crux of it, is that you can have a link on the GitHub repo or on your website, and people can click on that link and it automatically opens up that MCP server, loads it in Cursor, and now it's ready to go. So let's see how that works, right? So they even give you this generate install link. So all you would do is, I'm going to go into my Cursor and get one of the older ones that I had. And
Amit, are you sharing your cursor
not,
ID?
not yet, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, not yet. I want to bring that here so you can see. I just had to clean up my token. Okay, so this is what my server looks like. This is what the JSON file looks like if you were to do this manually. And I think you have to wrap this in another curly brace for it to work. And yeah, that should be it. So it recognized that this is a DigitalOcean MCP server. I can say, well, MCP demo, and then I can say copy the web link. So it creates this sort of link for you. I just pasted in my URL. Now, if I click on this, it's gonna launch Cursor. You can also do a deep link, which will generate a deep link sort of URL. So if you see here, let's just go with the web link. And before I click on it, I want to make sure that I'm sharing my screen, the whole screen, so you can see it. And
I think one thing in particular that I like is the documentation because they have this playground right within the documentation, so you can try it.
yeah,
So I think kudos to the team for that.
yeah. And I'm going to do the entire screen just so you can see it. Okay, so all right, so I'm going to, and you can see that it wants to open this in Cursor. I'm going to say yes, and you can see Cursor.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
So, and again, Cursor has been updated. So for this to work, you have to update Cursor to the latest version. And if you've been following along on MCP, this whole settings screen looks much cleaner. That's one. I am going to not put in my DigitalOcean token here because this will be on YouTube. But it recognizes that this is a DigitalOcean MCP demo. This is the name we had given it. It knows the command it should run for it. It knows that this is a std.io transport. It has the environment variable that it would need. And I'm just going to say install. So what will happen is that this gets loaded here. Now, this is not going to work. It has a red dot on it because the token is incorrect. But I had done this a little while ago. And that demo is this one right here. I'm going to disable this, disable all of them, in fact, and just enable DigitalOcean new. So it knows that the tools are here. But also, I noticed that you can disable tools. This is super new. There was no way for you to do this in Cursor earlier. And this is important because Cursor and most other LLM or client tools will complain if you have too many tools because it expands the context window. And there is an element of confusion for the LLM to know which tools it should go for. But and I think if I enable too many of them, it'll still start complaining. So yeah, so you see that it's saying you have 58 tools. Anything more than 40 is too much for me, sort of thing. But I can go here and I can say that I don't think I want deploy edge function, and that should get the count going down. Like I don't need any of these. So this will improve. This gives you more control over the tools. Um, and
This is a
of
new
course,
update, right,
this
Amit?
is yeah, this is new as of yesterday. This is super cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Claude had
Yeah,
this for a
I
while.
remember. Like last time we were discussing that. At that time, there was not like you have to disable it all.
Yeah, and I think it was a matter of time because Claude had this sort of thing for a while. It was just a matter of, and I think this is the correct way of doing it. If you look at uh, Claude's integration, you can see that I can. Um, oh, I don't have any MCP tools. Yeah, I was playing around with them yesterday, but Claude had this similar thing for a long time, and I'm so happy to see that Cursor has that also now, and the fact the one-click MCP I think is really cool. So that's that.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Amit, for sharing the demo. And for those wondering about DigitalOcean's MCP server, we have also shared links in the chat. So you can go and try it out yourself and let us know what you think about it. And with that, we are almost towards the end of the cloud chat. So is there anything that you all want to share as ending notes before we close this one? Yash, Amit.
Yeah, yeah, I do have. So I'll be in KubeCon China next week, and if you are coming, I would love to hang out with you there. It's a pretty exciting conference for me. I love the KubeCon, so I will be there, and I will be happy to connect with you there.
Amazing. How about you, Amit?
Uh, I will be at Tech Week. So this week is New York Tech Week. Excuse me.
Yes.
And I will be at an event uh, tomorrow at TechStars. Our CEO Patty would be is on the panel, and we'll be talking about all things AI and what that means in this evolving,
Lovely.
rapidly evolving world. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I think that's. I don't have any other travel coming up. I'll just be hacking on random stuff. All this stuff that has just shown up. I'm gonna play around with this. So exciting times.
Amazing. I think since we are talking about conferences, so next week, even I will be there at Echelon, like our entire a big team of DigitalOcean team members will be there in Echelon. We have a booth. So if anybody is attending, especially in Singapore, you should swing by your booth. And also on this, I think one thing that we should mention, since it's on what almost is already June, that we are doing Hacktoberfest this time bigger and better. So you should be preparing for if you are participating as a maintainer. So prepare your repositories, and if you are participating as a contributor, so like get your coding gloves on and maybe oh, I love that. Yeah. So yeah, we are doing Hacktoberfest again this time, and it's bigger and better. Like I mentioned, more announcements will follow soon. So that's from our end. And Amit mostly, sometimes even I join, and sometimes even Nasi joins, does a lot of live streamings on Discord, where he does the full-fledged 1 hour demo of what you just saw in the last 10 minutes. So if you would like to join us, free to swing by one of our Discord live streams that happens every Wednesday. And yeah, that's pretty much it from my end. Is there anything else other than bye that you all want to say before ending it?
I just dropped a link in there. If anybody, speaking of MCP, if anybody wanted to set up MCP server in Claude Code, since we were chatting about this earlier, we have a guide on that, and that sets you up for the workflow where you're deploying your apps from Cursor. Now that it supports MCP in a better way, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Check it out. All
Cool.
right.
With that, yes, Amit, I think with that we can end the stream if it's
Yes,
good.
yes. Thank you all. Have a fabulous rest of Thursday, and we'll see you all next week.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.
All right.